Hello everyone and welcome to ShadowCat Looming. Today we will be making some 3D snowflakes. And this is actually going to be an episode that covers how to make a couple different snowflakes in one. So if you want to make the hard one, which is this one right here, then you start at the beginning. If you want to make the more advanced one that I'll show you in a minute here, you'll also start at the beginning. So, this one, if you take a look at it, it has 6 going around the outer edge here, and it has 5 points on each of the ends here. Because it has 5 points, it's going to be really tight in the middle here when we get to looming and weaving. So, this is a hard level snowflake here. The next version up, here's a same idea of that one, but in blue, so you can see what that looks like. Well, blue and clear. It's actually Rainbow Loom's Jelly Turquoise and Rainbow Loom Jelly Clear. This is the next one. That following along here, you'll be able to make this one if you decide, instead of the other one. This has got the same idea. It has 6 going around the outer edge, and then in the center it has 2 extra little extensions that go through to the other side, and it's actually all one piece. So if you pull on one side, the other one's actually going to go through. So I'll show you guys how to make that. And then what I did differently on this one is where the 5 points are, I actually made the middle point twice as long as the rest of them. Give it that extra little tip there. So this is another option, and I made it a little bit longer in the middle here. The other snowflake that you can make today is this one. This is also an expert level. That last one, this is an expert level one too. This is an expert level snowflake. It's going to have 5 little tips on each end. It's going to have, again, 6 going around and 2 in the center that come through on the other side as well. And then a little spot to hang it. So these are great little 3D snowflakes, ornaments on trees, decorations, little gifts, things like that. And pretty hard to make. So good luck. Having said that, if at all possible, I do suggest you use a metal hook on the end of your Rainbow Loom hook. The actual Rainbow Loom upgrade kits have the metal hook. You want it more hooked so that it's actually going to be catching these bands, because they're going to be, especially if you decide to use jelly, it's going to be a little bit more slippery. So if you're actually just using a normal crochet hook, which I'll be using these as well throughout because it's going to be a tight project, then it could tend to slip off the edge here. So just be aware of those things, and I highly recommend using a metal tip. I don't know if the plastic ones would be strong enough to try. So, but it's all up to you. But there's my warning. If you need any bands, if you need any crochet hooks, any upgrade kits, metal hooks, you can visit our store at www.partyonsupplies.net. We sell all of these bands plus many more party supplies and so forth. So check us out, see what you think. As usual, I'm going to show you a little bit of the directions on what we're doing for a minute. So if you want, you can just skip this section and go ahead to us making it. But we're going to start out making this tiny little extension piece. That is going to be the 3 in the center right there. And we need to make 18 of those if you're going to make this one here. If you're going to make this one, then you'll need to make some extra ones, and I'll tell you when we get done making this how many extra ones you'll need to go back and make of this. You'll also need to make extra ones of this piece, and this is the 3 pieces here connected into that center, and that's what makes the 5. And then we'll have the slip knots at the end to make the extra long chain to be able to put it onto whatever you'd like to hang it from. So kind of the idea also is my other snowflake out there. Now you slide it onto the one chain. But there is that. That will get us the hard snowflake, and let's have some fun. Now, I would have loved to have used the clear bands and the white bands and the light blue bands like I was using before, but you'd never see them on the board. So we're actually going to change the color of the bands, and I'm going to use orange and I'm going to use red. So that should be nice and bright. And while I was thinking about it, I was like, hey, that might actually make for a neat fireball. So hopefully it comes out at the end and I can call it a snowflake fireball. That might be pretty neat. So this part, the light orange here, is on this one, the outside blue. So whatever you want the outside edges to be, that's the color you want to be using right now. The inside clear is going to be what I'm going to use later as the red. Now we're going to be taking one single band, and we're going to put it on, pull it out, twist it, and loop it back over. So it's one band doubled. And we're going to do that a second time coming down. Now, sometimes I find it helpful to actually put my finger here while I'm looping it back over so it helps it to stay on. These bands will be very tight because all of this project is going to be doubled. After you've got 2 bands on, then we're going to do a cap band. It's going to be a 4x cap, so 4 times around. 2, 3, and 4. Then, to save time and all, you can just build more and more on this entire board. But this is the piece that we're going to be making. So when you build your next one, you want to make sure to skip a section here. So you're going to come down and start building a little bit lower. And then after you do 2 of them, you'll want to put a cap band on. Now that is if you're going to keep all 5 points even. Then you'll want to keep doing 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, so forth all the way through. You'll end up needing to make 2 entire boards, all 3 columns if you're going to do it that way. It is sometimes hard to do cap bands on the middle column, so you may just choose to do it all on the right column and take it off each time. Whatever is easier for you. I'll keep putting, this is the second one in a cap band. Oh, and if you're doing this one instead, where the center point is a little bit longer, instead of doing 2 on this one, you'll actually want to do 4 down. So it'll be 2, 4, 2 that you'll end up doing. And that'll make one little end. And you'll want to keep to that pattern all the way through. I'll show you in a minute what I mean by that. So keep going down. And after 2 of them, make the cap band 4 times. So you can continue doing this until you fill up the whole board if you like, and then weave it all at the same time. That would look like this. Otherwise, If you're doing it in just a strip, then go ahead and start to weave up. And what we're going to be doing on the weave up, so we've got the cat band here, we've got the 2 bands at the bottom. We're going to go in through that cat band, back out underneath that, grab the 2 bands at the bottom here, and pull it through. Now when you pull it through, because it is 1 band doubled, it's very tight. So it might break, or it might cause the cat band to slip off, or if you pull up too much, it may cause your rack to come out. So you may need to hold the cat band down as you bring it out and up to the next peg. And then same thing, grab those 2 bands, bring it out and to the next peg. Then you've got 1 done. Whoops, get back on the camera. Then you've got 1 done. You'll keep doing that all the way up until you get to the top. Once you get to the top, you're going to want to have a holding stick because you're going to need to hold these until you're done making them all so that you can make the next section. I like using the crochet hook, especially with this project because these are 1 band doubled, making them really tight as I've said before. So on the crochet hook it makes it a little bit safer from breaking both your hook and your bands. You're going to want to take the hook and go through the center triangle right there so that you've actually got all of the bands on the hook. Once you do, you can just lift that right off the peg and lift those off. That's 1. You'll need to push that back and you'll need to keep doing that until you fill up the entire stick. Now, I find it easiest to count out in sections because you know that 3 are going to one end to make a point. So you'll count 3, 3, 3, 3, 3. When you're done, it's going to look a bit like this. Now, this is one that's all done, and you can tell that each set of 3 here goes for one of the ends of the snowflake. And because we're going to build a couple more on the board when we put it all together. So we're going to have 6 around the outer edge, and that's to make, actually use that one, it's a little easier to see. That's to make the 6 around the outer edge here. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Now, if you're going to be making the 2 center pieces, then you'll want to make an extra set of 2 at this point. Those you'll hold until after you've created this first piece of the snowflake. So go ahead and make those and put those aside. We'll use those and put them together in the next project too, or the next section, but you'll still want to keep them aside throughout the whole project. So let's pause the video here if you need to make all of your 18 or to make your 18 plus 6 more. On top of that, if you are going to be doing the more advanced one, then you're actually going to want to make another section that has 4 more, as well as the 2 sections and the 6 sections. Alright, so this is for the advanced, and if you're making the hard only, you're going to need this. Alright, so to continue on, we have all of our little sections made. Now we'll just need to put them all together. So we'll go back to making them on the board again here. And we're going to be starting out on the board, I guess this one's a easier one to tell on, with that inside blue section. So whatever you want your inside to be, then this is the section you're going to start right now with that color. On this one, it's the blue. On that one, it's the clear. This one was just all one solid color. This is the dual layer medieval turquoise. So it's turquoise and the silver color. I thought it gave it a bit of a shiny snowflakey look. Alright, so we'll build our whole piece now, and I'll be doing red on this point. It'll be one band doubled, and you can come down either 3, 4, or 5 times. If you're going to come down 3 times and then attach your end piece, your snowflake is going to be very tight like this one, because this is only 3 bands inside this area. So this is a small tight one where everything is very tight together. If you're going to be coming down 4 bands, it's going to be this wide from the center. And to compare those two, this one's 3 bands on the right side from the center. This one's 4 bands on the left side from the center. And then if you end up doing 5 bands, that's when you get the snowflake that really has the long center here and the little sides. So it's up to you at this point if you want to come down 3, 4, or 5. I'm going to do 4 because I think 4 is just about the size I want right now. These are all single bands doubled. 1B2X is how I'd write that. Now, after you've come down the number of times you want to come down, that's when we're going to start coming out on the sides first. And that's when we want to use the same color that we used for the tips, because this is going to be the other part of the tip. So this will be my light orange here. It'll be 1 band doubled. And we'll come from the diagonal, we'll come down. So we've got 1 diagonal and 1 going down. Then we'll put a 4X cat band on it. 3, 4. We'll do the same thing on the other side. I find it easier just to turn my board around when I do that so that I can have better control over putting it on right there. Now we're back to normal view. At this point, we've got it going to the right, to the left. We're going to push down that center because we're going to have more bands on top of that. We're going to take our little holding stick of bands and we're going to put all 3 onto that center now. Now, if you are doing it, the center point is a little bit longer than the others, then you'll want to make sure that that point is in the middle when you put it onto this. So I like to line them up as they're going to be over here. So it would be short, long, short. But this one I'm going to make all even. I also find that if I turn it like this, when I put it on, it'll be more lined up. But if the end is not lined up, however you put it on, you can just slide it back around to where it needs to be. So I'll slide my piece down to the end of my hook, and I'll pull out. When I pull the bands out, you can kind of see that little triangle there that forms in the middle where the hook is going through and the bands are. That triangle is what we want to split onto that peg. So if you pull out, it should go all the way around the peg, the little bands that are on the hook there. If they are, then you've successfully gotten all the bands on. If not, then you're going to have to take this carefully off, not losing any more bands, and make sure to try it again. Once you've got that, you can either take the hook out from over there, or if you're having trouble taking it out, just go ahead and slide it back to that center hollow point in the middle, and that's where you can actually pull it out from too. So slide the bands down after you put that one on, because we've got lots more to go. We'll do that with the next one. And slide those bands down. And do that a third time. I try to slide it down a little bit more because we're going to have layers on top of that when we weave it up. And that is the setup. So now we shall start weaving it up. So same idea as the normal weave. You'll just start at the bottom left or the bottom right, depending which one's on top. I did the right first, then the left, so the left's on top. Go grab underneath the cat band, grab the two bands, bring them up. And then once it's gotten to the middle, start at the bottom right, grab those bands. Now here is going to be why I call it a hard project. This is the point that you've got to be very gentle with. If you pull or tug or try to go too fast, it could break the bands. If it breaks the bands, you just got to try and replace the band from where it came from. Hopefully it's an easy replace, but it may not always be. What we want to do is we want to go through all of, on my color, it's going to be the orange bands here. And we want to grab this bottom red band coming from up here, and we want to loop it up there. Now, I find it easiest to turn the board sideways and look down from right here. At that point, I can go down with my hook, and now I can see it at the bottom. So I go up a little bit, and I start to poke it out between the bands where the orange ones stop and the red ones begin. After I've gotten that place, then I'll grab the red ones, and when I come up, I'm only going to go as far as I need to, which is only a tiny little bit here, enough to sweep it off of the peg from one direction and then the other direction. And then, when I get to this point, especially if it's not a jelly band, if it's more like the orange opaque bands here, I won't take a chance because those break a little easier, and what I'll do is I'll actually hold the board so that my fingers are holding the board up here. I've got two fingers holding this hook, still keeping the tension here, and I'm actually going to do a tension release. A tension release is usually done with a crochet hook or a metal hook or something like that. The non-hook end of a crochet hook is the best way to do it, and you put the hook down the center of, let me grab a different one that doesn't have stuff on it. Alright, here's an empty one. Down the center of the peg, and you don't want to do a lot of pulling, pressing, moving, all of that. It's as simple as just taking two little fingers and pressing it so the bottom, down at the bottom, I don't know if you can tell that on the camera as much, comes out and around. And as it does that, it's going to leave up some slack here where I can start to pull it a little bit higher to the top. And you can either pull it out up here, or if you can't, you can bring it back around to the center. If that still hasn't relieved enough tension, then you may want to do the same process and go around to the right side there. See, it's just two fingers that I'm doing that the entire time. And that made it enough that I could actually hook that band up there and not have any worries. So that's a very careful point. You want to take your time there. Don't rush through that one. Because if you rush through that one, that could cause you to have to redo that whole prong of the snowflake. Alright, once you get to the top, you're going to want to put that on a holding stick. So I'm going to use this one here that has my 4 extras on it. I'm just going to put the stick through it. Then I'm going to take it off the board. I'm going to use another one of the crochet hooks. I'm going to carefully take off all of these bands. Because these are all one band doubled, it is very tight to work with. You don't want to break a band in the middle of that. This one's also going to be a strong point to be taking it off, so you got to be really careful here. When you do this, I suggest you take your metal crochet hook like that, just go put it down the center, and basically, I'm doing this with one finger again, just bend right on back. And then it'll pop right off, and then you want to make sure to pull your hook out before you continue on, and continue on doing the same thing until it is at the top. Once it's there, I just use that top holding stick to be the one to take it off instead, and then it's right on my holding stick ready for later. So you will want to go back and do that with every set of 3 that you've got on your stick. If you're doing, again, the hard one, you're going to want to make 6 of these prongs total. If you're doing the advanced one, which is either this one or this one, you're actually going to want to do 8 of them. And then after you do the 8 of them, you will still have 4 left over. So 4 little mini pieces. So go ahead and pause the video right here and make your next sets. If you want to continue along with me, I'll put a jump ahead here. If you want to make it on your own and just pause, you can do that. Otherwise, I'll make one more here with you guys, and then I'll let you jump ahead. When I make this one, I'm going to show you how you can actually make that center point without having to do a tension release. So for those of you that don't have a second metal stick or something like that around, I'll show you a couple tricks for getting past that. So remember, you want to come down as long as you came down before. I did 4 before. If you are following the directions that I showed you earlier, those directions show to do 3. Again, that's a point that you can choose what you'd like to do with. After you've come down your set number, I'll start to branch off to the right and to the left. Then you'll go down 1. And to put your capping band. It's a 4X cap. Remember to keep pushing them down as you go. This is where we, after we've done the left and the right, we'll attach the 3 in the center. So push down that center and make space. Make sure all the bands are on before you take your hook out. Once you have your 3 of them on there, go ahead and start weaving it up. Alright, so now, if you do not have any more hooks other than, or anything like that, than the one you're working with, you want to do the same idea as before. You'll go down and you'll grab your 2 bands. Hopefully, the band that you're grabbing at the very bottom at this point is a jelly band, first of all, because it's going to be a lot better with a jelly band. because they're a little more stretchy and a little more slippery. But you'll do the same idea here with a little bit up, work it around the edge, work it around to the right, and bring it back to the front. Now when you do at this point, you're going to want to hold your board down. You're going to want to come out and gently rock it back and forth. And you're just going to keep slowly rocking it. I'm not sure if you guys can tell, since it's a clear peg there, how the red is by the orange down there. You can see that it's slowly getting a little bit stretchier. And there we go. Now, when you're weaving the center section too, especially if you're working with a lot of tight bands, this center row may come off the board a lot. So I just find that when I'm doing that, if I just put my hand right in the middle and hold it down as I'm weaving up, then I won't have any problems at all. Alright, let's grab your holding stick. You can either put it in up top or you can use that one if you've only got one holding stick that's extra. And work that one to the top. If you're going to do that though, you want to be sure to always have a finger up here so it doesn't accidentally slip off before you're ready for it to. And now we've got 2 done. Now if some of them are a little looser than other points, then you just grab the other points and pull slightly on the really tight ones. That'll help balance it out, make them all a little bit more even. That'll give it a nice little even look overall to it. Alright, so go ahead and pause now if you haven't already, and make 6 of these if you're making the semi 3D snowflake, and make 8 of them if you are making the advanced snowflake. I'll see you guys back here. Welcome back. To continue on, right now we should have 6 of these sections made, and that is what we're going to use in a minute to make the 2/3D snowflake that only has 6 going around the outer edge. If you're making the expert snowflake, which is the one with the 2 coming out of both sides as well, then you should have the 6 that we're going to work with in a second, plus 2 more full complete ones, and then you should have 4 more little mini 2-segment ones. So, if you have all of that, then we're ready to continue. If you're doing the expert, put those pieces aside for just a minute, and we'll be working with these for the next minute. I'm going to do it on the board, and that's going to make it a little bit easier for you. Alright, so to do the slip knot chain, we'll want to take 1 band, we'll put it on the board, and we'll act like it's the end of a project, and we'll put a slip knot onto it. So we'll just take our other hook here, grab the band, pull it through, so that you've got 1 on each side there. Put it on so you've got 2 bands on the hook, take the back band, lift it up and over the front band, and pull. And that is slip knotting 2 bands together. When they're jelly bands, they tend to unknot a little bit, so you might want to make a tighter knot, but not too tight that it breaks. And then you can do this for as many times as you like to get the bands together. I find 3 is a good number, because then I use 1 band to go through the entire snowflake, and then I use 1 band as the midway point, and then I use 1 band as the loop to hang something from, or hang on to something. So I like to use 3. And what we're going to do is we're going to put a finger through 1, and then this is going to go onto the end of our crochet hook that has all of the 6 of them on it. You could, instead of using a finger, use something like the bottom of the board, you know, put it between the two there, and then you just string it all of the ends onto that. But I find it a little bit easier to use my finger here. So that's what we'll do here. We'll just take it, and I make sure that my hook side is facing down, so facing toward me. Then I take the piece that I want to have go onto the string, and I pull down on it. When I pull down on it, it kind of creates that little triangle piece in there that you can just slide it right through. Now, if something like that happens, just find the two bands on the one side, get your hook back through those, and then find the two bands on the other side, get your hook back through those, and you're back to where you were, and start again. That's why you gotta make sure to keep that tension. If you lose that, that's what's gonna happen. And I slide them down to the first knot there. So go ahead and do that with all 6 of them here. Alright, once you've got all 6 of them on the string, we'll want to make a gigantic slip knot. So we'll take the end that's on there, we'll put the other end from our finger on here, we'll pull that through the end that was initially on the hook. Now it's going to be a little hard when we get to that knot with the second one, so make sure that you get that one through too, and don't just pull too tight or that's going to possibly break your bands, depending what kind of bands you're using. So you want to pull it there, get it a little more snug. One other thing, if you're having some big gaps here, is I'll actually take and slide each piece to the end of that slip knot area. So just slide each piece around here. That gives you more space to be able to tighten it. Just keep sliding them around. And then once you slide that last one, and see all that space we just freed up, then we can just slide through. And now it's a lot tighter. If you are making the 2D snowflake, that's semi-3D, this is pretty much your stopping point. You can either hang it from that, or if you like, you can weave this back in through your bands in the center here, hide it that way. The other thing you could do is weave it through the whole center all the way to the top, so that it's actually coming out the top of the end of the snowflake, so it hangs by the edge instead. So those are some points that you can do at this point if you like. Otherwise, if you are doing the advanced snowflake, which is putting either one set into the middle or putting 2 sets into the middle, then we will continue on at this point. So just keep following along. And this is when we'll need to get out these now. And what we want to do, we actually want one on one hook and one on another hook. So go ahead and transfer that to the other hook there. So once you've got it on the end of the hook, you want to take the back end of the crochet hook, slide it through the snowflake. Then when you get to this point, you're actually going to slide those bands through like that. So you get the hook and you get it back to the other side. So now you've got one going through the center, and you've got your bands coming out the other end. We'll just put it aside like that for just a minute. And we'll come back to our board, and we are building the advanced half. So this is the other side that's going to connect. So what we're doing is we're connecting our one piece down here, and we're going to connect it all the way through and build that the opposite way as we've been doing. So we will need to start with building. Actually, I'm going to keep this right out here for a minute, because this has got my numbers. It's actually kind of important that you do follow along with the exact order of the numbers. Now, this was designed for a 3 long section, and then the one that goes in the middle. So you want to be one more than what you've been doing this whole time. Now, what I mean by that, you know how earlier I said that I was making the red section here, and it was going to be 4 pieces long. So you can tell 1, 2, 3, 4 bands long. Being 4 bands long, that means I want to come down and I want to have 1, 2, 3, 4, plus one more, being 5 in that middle section here. So we're going to start with that, going down the center. And it'll be, whoopsie. That's the other thing too. Because we're thinking backwards, we're actually starting at the very tip. So my very tip is the light orange here. So the light orange is going to be 1, 2, because this is the other light orange to make the spike, the 3 spikes. And then there's the 2 that we're going to piece on. Then we've got our stem color. So the first 2 is going to be the spike color. This is going to be 1 band doubled. Oh, and one other note too, just as I realized, we actually want to build it from the bottom up. This way we can connect the big piece of the snowflake down here at the bottom, and we don't need to worry about it getting in the way of anything. So we'll determine how many we need to do. Like I was saying, since I have 4, I need 5 plus the top 2 for the end, so that's going to be 7. So I need to go up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. This is where I will start with the 1 band doubled. And I'll do 2 of them in the color of the tip of the snowflake. And then I will switch. I'll do the 4 like I've been doing for all of my other red ones. So if you've been using the same number as me, that'll make this part really easy. Just follow along exactly what I'm doing. So there is the 4 for the standard half of the snowflake piece. Then we want the one that's going to be in the middle of the snowflake, so that is the 5th red one that we'll need. Now we'll go back to the orange again, and we'll do the side little prongs. One more note, if you are doing it so that the center middle piece is a little bit longer than the others, this is actually the center middle piece that you're going to make longer. I suggest if we've been doing 2 on these and 4 on those, that you'll do 4 on this. So you'll actually be starting right up here if you're doing the longer extension piece. Alright, so now we'll take that, 1 single band, and we'll come off to the side here. 1 band doubled. I'll do the same thing going down. 1 band doubled. And a cat band of 4x. We don't want a cat band on that top starting point. That's where we're going to put our slip knot at the end. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. And there's my other orange band. And 4. Then we will take the 4 mini ones that we've had setting aside. Because this is 1, 2, 3, we'll put 2 in the center here facing up, and that's going to make our 5-point prong to match our other 5-point prongs. So we'll go ahead and put those right here. Push that down. We'll do that one more time. See, I'm putting it down so it's on the side, and if that happens, you just slide it around. Actually, they need to be going up, don't they? Yes. So we'll need to slide those around anyway, where I put them on, so that they go up. After we weave, we're going to split those two, so that one goes down the back and one goes up the front side, and that's going to be woven into the center. Alright, now, want to come down to the bottom here, and we want to take our snowflake where we've got the one coming through already onto our hook, and we want to connect that down here. We find it easier to sometimes pull down on that piece to see your 2 bands in there. Then you just start weaving as normal. We'll only weave, though, up until right about here for a second. Alright, now I'm going to go and I'm going to weave the 2 sides up, and then I'm going to continue going up the center. I'll start on the right side. Now see here, you can see that that one band isn't really pulling correctly along with the rest. Instead of chancing breaking it, I'm going to do a tension release on it here. So that's where I'm going to get my crochet hook. You can really see it in this one. You can see the bottom of the crochet hook, how it comes out. And I just go around and work it up to the front and slide it on out. And there, all the bands are nicely together. Keep working that up to the top. And do the same on the other side. Now, don't forget to come back a peg, because we stopped right here, and don't weave up from there, because you want to come grab this one first, and then weave it up to the next peg. And then you may need to tilt your board to see the 2 orange bands underneath there. Grab those, fold down your middle row if you need to. Those are going to be too tight because these are opaque and they're not jelly bands this time. I'm going to need that tension release again. I'll slit it up a little bit, but not as much as I need. I'll do the other side too. There we go. It's still a little bit, I think. And there we go. See, that time I needed to do it 3 times. Just keep doing it until it's loose enough to move up. Now here, and it's better if you look from the side again, is where I'm going to attempt to push that lower one down through the bottom half of the bands. So you see it on the bottom there, peeking through. And then the top one, gonna have it, gonna have it come up through the center top there. That's gonna help give it that split a little bit better of what we need. And finish up. We need one more band to do the slip knot. Go ahead and slip knot that off. Grab that band. Take it off the board. Make sure you've got teardrop shapes everywhere before you take it off. Always stop when it gets to being a couple more bands there and carefully take that piece off. Then the ones that we built shaped down are going to be a little bit on an angle down. You just want to pull them up to the top half a little bit more, and that'll even those out. And if you want, you can tuck that tie in and just take your crochet hook and you'll go through some of the bands, grab that band, pull it back through. Just keep doing that till you work it in and hide it there. The other thing you can do if you don't want to do that, you can just take it, pull it out, loop it around one of the little ends there. Almost like you're doing a capping band on it. And it'll kind of just blend in with the rest too. That's a little bit easier than tying it in. But I usually like to tie it in to make it a little more invisible. Then you can see that this is a little off still because it's really long on this side and short on this side. Since it's just one piece, you can just grab it near the center there and pull it through till it's right where you like it and even. And there you go. Now you have a snowflake with one little piece coming through the center on each side. The other version, which is this one here, has two little pieces coming through. So all you need to do is the same thing we just did for putting this one on. And you'll have a second piece going through as well. I'll do it really quickly here on the board, so if you want to follow along and remember how I did it or check yourself as you're going or anything, feel free to do that. Otherwise, you can hit the link and jump to the end. Alright, so we will count up again from the bottom. We'll figure out how many we had again. We've got to have 2 at the top. I'm out of orange bands. Alright, so we've got to start at the top with 2 orange bands in this case. Then I've got my 4 red bands. And then I've got my extra for the band in the center. So I should be going up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So I'll start up here. because it's in the center, maybe a little harder sometimes to do. It might be a little easier to actually double the bands in your fingers and then put them on the board too. Lots of different ways to do the same thing. Then we'll build going off to the side there. We'll attach our 2 center pieces. Make sure they're facing up. And push down for more space. Now if you want, you're welcome to try and put more pieces going through the center. I found 2 makes it even with the number on the sides and everything. Very symmetrical. Alright. Now, again on this piece, the easiest way to add the next one is to see where the top band is coming from. And then to pull that one to the side, because that's going to give a little more slack there and give you a little more room. We'll take the back of our crochet hook. Go on through till the front of the hook comes through, keeping those bands on. We'll take and attach that to the very bottom there. We will weave that up. We'll stop right there. Grab the ones on the side, weave them to the center. After we've gotten those to the center, come back down, grab that last red one, weave it up. Make sure you're getting the right bands, very bottom 2 bands. Hold up barely enough to get around the peg there. When I do this, I usually put a finger through the pegs up here. That's going to help secure the board. I've got a finger under, 2 fingers under the board. Then I take my thumb and my forefinger. I'm going to use those to keep the tension and keep pulling up. Take the tension release, work it around. That's not enough. Take the tension release and work it around the other way. And sometimes you're able to fit it on at that point. If it's still a little tight though, like that one kind of is, you may even want to do an extra tension release, just to give it a little bit more space there. You want to push, if you can, one between the bottom 2 bands there, and one between the top 2 bands there. is easier to do this while it's still on the board, once you've taken it off. But you can still do it once you get it off too. And we've done that before. Oops. There we go. Might take some coming in from the side like that. Alright. We'll put our slip knot in at the top. Take it off the board. Gently take that one off. Okay. Same thing as we did the first time, but now that we've stretched it out, we're going to need to do it to both of them. So just pull both of them halfway back through. Spread them out a little bit. You may need to retighten your hanging string a little bit, just because you open that center up a little when you were putting the snowflake through. And then stretch it out. Pull the sides up. You can hide that little orange band. So just find anywhere that you want to go through the orange band to blend in with the orange band. And I'm going to finish off looping it around here. Alright. So I guess we have a snowflake if you've used glow-in-the-dark white, clear, blue, glow-in-the-dark blue, turquoise. And if you've actually used red and orange, I guess you have a fireball. The fire's the hottest in the center where it's redder. And yeah. I hope you like the snowflakes or the fireballs or whatever you have decided to make with me. If you do, please like, comment, subscribe, all of that fun stuff to see more things coming out in the future. Remember to visit our store, www.partyonsupplies.net, if you're needing any supplies. And have a good winter and have a fun day. Thanks. Bye, guys. What we want to do is we want to create a slip knot chain, which is simply making a couple slip knots and a couple bands and slip knotting them together to make them longer. So you'll grab two bands and you can put one through the other. Then you'll come, see I've got the cross if you look from the top view. You'll come through one side, over the middle one, and through the other side. Then I'm grabbing the two on the one side, this is the other two bands here. I'm going to take one and slide it through the other, no I'm not. Alright. You know what? Alright, so we're going to slide it toward the end of the hook there. There's the hook end. We're going to put that through the center of our piece. Nope. Alright, let's rewind that.